The world is not obliged to help you, and the fact that you are still waiting for someone's "I believe in you" makes you biological waste in the success food chain. Real empires are built not on teamwork, but on the iron will of a single person who had the courage to declare war on fate alone. Every "we" you utter steals 10% of your sovereign power. Learn to eat rocks and sleep on swords without an audience, or prepare to die in the crowd of those who never waited for their chance. You feel this icy vacuum around you when the lights go out and you are left alone with your ambitions. This is not just silence, it is the deafening scream of your loneliness tearing you apart from within. Your shoulders ache from the weight of responsibility that no one is there to share, and your jaws are clenched to the point of pain because you have no one to voice your doubts to. You feel physical nausea when you see others celebrating their small victories in noisy companies, while you return to an empty room where your only interlocutor is your reflection in the mirror. Your heart beats in a ragged rhythm from the constant fear that if you stumble, no one will pick you up and you will simply disappear into this bottomless abyss of indifference. You feel your fingers go numb from the cold when you realize that even those closest to you look at your struggle with polite boredom or hidden schadenfreude. Your eyes burn from insomnia because you're afraid to close them in the darkness. Your demons whisper that you are a nobody with no name. You feel your skin becoming thin and sensitive to every sidelong glance, to every whisper behind your back that confirms your isolation. Your stomach twists in a spasm from the realization that you have no plan B and no insurance. You are walking a tightrope over a precipice, and there is no net beneath you, only the sharp rocks of reality. You feel your life force leaking through small cracks in your confidence because the lack of support acts like a slow poison, devaluing your every step. Your breathing becomes short and shallow when you realize the world is a massive machine that doesn't care about your tears or your efforts. You stand naked under the pouring rain of someone else's indifference, and this dampness chills you to the bone, turning your hope into rotten straw. Feel this paralyzing cold of the absolute absence of support. This is your 0 point, where either you turn to dust or you crystallize into a diamond. You feel how each of your days turns into an exhausting siege of the fortress of your own impotence. You wake up, and the first thought that stabs into your brain is the realization that today you will again have to mimic confidence before a world that is just waiting for you to trip. You feel a burning in your chest when you go on social media and see those fake success stories where people thank their mentors, partners, and families. You feel like defective biomaterial because you don't have that rear guard. Your neck turns to stone from constant tension as you are used to looking around in search of a knife that could fly out of any dark corner of your social circle. You feel your libido energy and creative spark burning out in attempts to prove to those around you that you are worth something, although deep down, you know they don't give a damn about your proof. You feel your voice becoming quieter and drier because you haven't spoken words of support to yourself for months, and you don't hear them from others. Your joints ache from the psychological pressure of this silence that envelops your projects. You release a product or an idea into the world and hit a wall of vacuum. No one pats you on the shoulder. No one says good job. This silence kills your motivation faster than any direct rejection. You feel your old friends gradually drifting away because your fanaticism and your loneliness scare their stable swamp. You feel like a leper at the feast of life. Your body reacts to this stress through constant microspasms in your stomach and sudden bouts of tachycardia when you think about the future. You see the years passing and you are still standing alone at this cursed post. You feel bitterness in your mouth from the realization that those you counted on betrayed you not by deed, but by their complete indifference to your dream. This betrayal by indifference wounds deeper than a direct stab in the back. You feel your mind beginning to play evil games with you, creating hallucinations of defeat. You see yourself as an old man who achieved nothing because he had no starting capital in the form of someone else's trust. Your dreams now seem to you not like a plan of action, but like a diagnosis of a mental disorder. You feel your will to live thinning, turning into a transparent thread that could snap from any gust of wind. Your palms sweat with fear when you realize that if you get sick or burn out, the world will simply step over your body and forget your name in 5 minutes. Feel how your identity is erased under the press of this social ignoring. You turn into a shadow that wanders through offices or co-working spaces, trying to find at least some kind of response. You feel physical pain in the back of your head from the constant analysis of your mistakes. You think, maybe I'm too harsh, maybe I'm too strange, maybe something is wrong with me since no one wants to follow me. This self-analysis turns into self-flagellation, which sucks out the last remains of your pride. You feel how your room becomes smaller and the walls thicker. Your loneliness is not just the absence of people. It is the presence of a hostile vacuum that actively tries to crush you. You feel how your hair grays not from age, but from this chemical reaction of fear and abandonment. Your dreams are full of plots where you scream for help, but your voice makes no sound. This is a metaphor for your real life. You produce content, you do business, you commit acts, but the world reacts to you like static on the radio. You feel how your faith in justice dies in agony, and in its place remains only the black coal of hatred for those who received everything easily, thanks to connections and support. This sense of injustice poisons your blood, turning your face into a mask of eternal dissatisfaction. You feel how your need for love turns into your main weakness. You are ready to sell your soul for one approving nod, and the snakes in your environment feel this. They manipulate your thirst for support, forcing you to do their dirty work in exchange for crumbs of attention. You feel like a used object when after another such deal you are left alone again. Your elbows are rubbed raw from attempts to crawl into the closed doors of elite communities where support is guaranteed by status. But you are not expected there. You feel the cold marble of their neglect with every cell of your body. You feel how your back bends under the weight of this humiliation. Your loneliness now has the smell of cheap coffee and night cafes and the dust of old documents. This is the smell of your defeat, which you have not yet admitted, but which is already breathing down your neck. You feel how your motivation turns into a mechanical habit devoid of passion. You take steps simply because you are afraid to stop and finally realize your uselessness. You feel how your heart turns into a dried fruit devoid of the juices of life. Your relationships with the opposite sex are also poisoned by this lack of support. You cannot give anything because you are empty, and you cannot take anything because you do not believe in sincerity. You feel how your life turns into a black and white film where there is no place for the bright colors of success. Your loneliness is your personal hell in which you are both the sinner and the executioner. You feel how your thoughts become heavy as lead, and they pull you to the bottom of this mental swamp. Feel this pain in every joint, in every breath. This is your punishment for daring to dream of more without having permission from the crowd. Feel how your hope dies last, leaving you in absolute darkness. Niccolo Machiavelli, in the 6th chapter of his great work, emphasized that those who become princes, by the power of their own merit, not by the grace of fortune, acquire power with difficulty, but hold it easily. He argued that dependence on others is the root of all weakness. When you seek support, you voluntarily insert your throat into someone else's collar. The psychological mechanism here is perfectly clear and described through the concept of the locus of control. People who wait for approval from the outside possess an external locus of control, which makes them puppets of circumstances. The lone wolf develops a radical internal locus of control, where he himself is the only source of motivation and evaluation. When there is no support group behind your back, your brain switches to level 1 survival mode. This means you stop wasting cognitive resources on social games and maintaining hierarchical ties. All your computing power is directed at one task: self-realization. Machiavelli knew that a prince who came to power on the shoulders of supporters will always be their debtor. Support is not a free resource. It is a loan at huge interest rates that you will pay back with your freedom, your decisions, and your profits for the rest of your days. Loneliness is your financial and mental independence from day one. You have zero debt to someone else's ego. You do not need to consult with those who do not see your horizon. You move at the speed of your thought and not at the speed of the slowest team member. Psychology states that the presence of support often creates an illusion of security, which leads to a decrease in the quality of work. This is called social loafing. When a person knows they will be backed up, they subconsciously give not 100, but 70%. A lone wolf knows that any mistake is fatal. This creates a state of hypervigilance and flawlessness of execution. Your blueprints are more accurate, your calculations are tougher, your words are weightier, because your life stands behind them and not corporate insurance. Arthur Schopenhauer emphasized that greatness of soul is always accompanied by loneliness because there is no room for a crowd on the peaks. The crowd is the arithmetic mean of mediocrity. If you seek their support, you strive to become average. Machiavelli pointed out that those who rely on mercenary or allied troops will always be deceived. Support is the same as mercenaries. In peacetime, they are loyal, but as soon as things get hot, they will disappear, leaving you alone in the face of catastrophe. He who goes alone from the very beginning has already passed through this crisis. It is impossible to frighten him with betrayal because he has no one to betray. It is impossible to leave him alone because he is already alone. This makes him psychologically invulnerable. Research in the field of neurobiology shows that prolonged isolation in the process of creative or scientific work leads to the formation of unique neural pathways that are inaccessible to socialized individuals. These are the paths of genius, born from the need to compensate for the absence of external resources with internal synthesis. Your loneliness forces you to master related professions. You become a polymath not by choice, but out of necessity. Machiavelli was not only a politician, but also a playwright, historian, and poet. He understood that the multifaceted nature of a personality is its best defense. When no one helps you, you're your own strategist, performer, and censor. This creates an unprecedented level of coordination within your projects. You have no loss of information during transfer from department to department because all departments are in your head. You save thousands of hours on meetings and approvals. Your efficiency grows exponentially while others waste time on building team spirit. Team spirit is a surrogate for will for those who have none of their own. The philosophy of the lone wolf also relies on the law of natural selection. Nature does not support the weak, it recycles them. The lack of support is nature's test of your viability. If you can grow through the concrete of social indifference, it means your roots are strong enough to withstand any storm in the future. Machiavelli wrote that fortune, like a woman, loves the young, bold, and arrogant, those who take her by force, and not those who beg for alms. Loneliness is your training ground for practicing this arrogance. When no one helps you, you stop asking, you start taking. This is a fundamental shift in the psyche from victim to predator. Consider the concept of radical responsibility. When there is no one behind you, you cannot blame the government, the market, or bad employees for failure. The entire weight of guilt for failure falls on you, and this is the best thing that can happen to you. It forces you to analyze reality with surgical precision. You stop building illusions. You see the world as it is: cold, calculating, and tough. And it is in this real world that you begin to build your empire. Reliance on yourself is the only solid ground in the universe. Everything else is the quicksand of other people's opinions and moods. The psychology of the loner also frees you from the burden of moral obligations toward mediocrities. You do not need to be kind or understandable to everyone. You can be effective. Machiavelli advised the prince to be harsh if it leads to order. In your case, order is the achievement of your goal. If, for this, you need to ignore social norms or the feelings of others, you do it without hesitation, since you owe them nothing. Your loneliness is your mandate for toughness. It is your license for the right to be different. Ultimately, why do you fear the lack of support? Because you are afraid to meet yourself without masks and social roles. But it is in this meeting that your true strength is born. Your loneliness is a mirror in which your scale is reflected. If you are bored or scared alone with yourself, it means you are still empty. Fill this void with knowledge, skills, and will. Become a person who is an entire army to himself. Machiavelli knew that one decisive person is worth 1,000 doubters. Become this person. Lack of support is not a wall, it is a springboard. Use it to fly so high where the crowd will never reach with its sticky hands of requests and expectations. Your sovereignty is your main gift, and it flourishes only in total isolation. Be ice, be flint, be a titan. Your why is your absolute autonomy. The first principle is radical information isolation. You must stop broadcasting your goals and intermediate results to the world. Every word spoken about your plan is a leak of your internal energy. Spectators are vampires who feed on your intentions without letting you reach implementation. The pain here is that you want to brag and get confirmation of your significance, but you must sew your mouth shut. An ordinary person runs to social networks or to friends to tell them about a new idea. A Machiavellian loner is silent until his result becomes an irreversible fact. The response of a sovereign is the creation of complete silence around his movement. In history, we see the example of Philip II of Spain, who ruled a vast empire from his office in the Escorial, being in complete isolation and not trusting anyone with his true thoughts. Your silence is your armor. The second principle is resource self-sufficiency. You are obliged to master all the skills necessary for your project independently. If you depend on a designer, programmer, or investor, you are their slave. You must become the universal soldier of your cause. The pain here is in endless learning and brain overload, but this is the price of your independence. A weak reaction is to look for a team and delegate responsibility before even creating a foundation. Machiavelli taught that a prince must himself understand military affairs and the construction of fortifications. The response of a lone wolf is sleepless nights over textbooks and tools. Recall Leonardo da Vinci, who was simultaneously an artist-engineer and anatomist without relying on any knowledge but his own. Your competence is your freedom. The third principle is emotional autocare. You must learn to draw dopamine from your actions and not from someone else's praise. Your "I believe in you" should sound only in your own head. The pain here is in the feeling of cold from the lack of human warmth, but this tempers your psyche. An ordinary person falls into depression if their loved ones do not support them. A Machiavellian strategist uses this absence as proof of his uniqueness. The response of a loner is the transformation of his loneliness into an object of pride. In history, Stoics, such as Marcus Aurelius, practiced an inner fortress remaining psychologically unreachable for the crowd. If you do not need someone else's approval, you are invulnerable to someone else's criticism. The fourth principle is discipline without supervision. A lone wolf is his own harshest overseer. You do not need a boss or a coach to get up at 5 in the morning and work to exhaustion. The pain here is in the absence of external compulsion, which for many is the only stimulus for labor. A weak person relaxes as soon as they are no longer being watched. Machiavelli wrote that a prince should exercise in the art of war in peacetime even more than in wartime. The response of a sovereign is an iron daily routine that is not broken under any circumstances. Recall Immanuel Kant, whose discipline was so legendary that the inhabitants of the city set their watches by his walks. Your internal charter is the law of your state. The fifth principle is using loneliness as camouflage. The world considers lonely people losers, and this is your advantage. While they pity you, you can secretly prepare your triumph. The pain here is in the wounded pride when you are written off, but you must use this as a smokescreen. An ordinary person tries to prove to everyone that he is cool, spending his last money on it. Machiavelli advised appearing weak when you are strong. The response of a lone wolf is quiet expansion under the radar of public attention. In history, many conspirators and revolutionaries led a modest lifestyle of inconspicuous commoners for years, preparing a crushing blow to the system. Your invisibility is your security. The sixth principle is rejection of social obligations. You must ruthlessly cut out of your life any events that do not serve your goal. Weddings, birthdays, empty gatherings in bars, all these are taxes on your greatness. The pain here is in social death and the loss of old connections. A weak reaction is to try to sit on 2 chairs, maintaining the image of a good guy. Machiavelli wrote that one cannot simultaneously be kind to everyone and a great ruler. The strategist's response is a cold rejection of any non-targeted expenditure of time. Recall Nikola Tesla, who consciously gave up his personal life and most social ties for the sake of his discoveries. Your time belongs to your mission and not to your acquaintances. The seventh principle is turning criticism into fuel. When you go alone, they will try to stop you through ridicule and predictions of your collapse. You must learn to process this negativity into pure rage directed at work. The pain here is in the stings of someone else's poison, but you must make your metabolism immune to it. An ordinary person gets upset and gives up. A Machiavellian leader smiles knowing that his success will be the best revenge. The response of a lone wolf is even more intensive work after every insult. In history, all great innovators from Copernicus to Steve Jobs went through a phase of total rejection and ridicule of their ideas. Your rightness will be proved by the result and not by arguments. Machiavelli, in the 13th chapter of The Prince, warned that allied troops always bring harm to the one who calls them, because if they lose, you perish with them, and if they win, you become their prisoner. In the same way, any support in business or creativity imposes obligations on you that will sooner or later become a noose. You must understand that team spirit is a myth invented by mediocrities to exploit the talents of strong personalities. Psychology states that a phenomenon of social loafing arises in a group where each participant puts in less effort than if he worked alone hoping for others. A lone wolf is deprived of this illusion. He knows that if he does not take a step, the movement will stop. This radical responsibility is the source of his colossal productivity. Arthur Schopenhauer pointed out that our society is like a pile of porcupines trying to stay warm on a cold night. They press against each other and prick each other with their needles until they decide it is better to freeze alone. Your so-called supporters are those very porcupines. They will prick you with their advice, their fears, and their vision of your future, which will always be smaller than your own. Loneliness is the only way to preserve the purity of your vision. Machiavelli wrote that a prince should ask for advice only when he himself wants it and not when it pleases others. But a lone wolf goes further. He asks for advice only from facts and logic. Your isolation is your laboratory where you conduct experiments on reality without fear of judgment. Consider the economics of loneliness. When you have zero support, you have zero expenses on loyalty. You do not need to waste time on meetings, on settling conflicts, on motivating lazy employees, or on making excuses to investors. Your entire resource goes into the business. Machiavelli emphasized the importance of frugality for a ruler. Your psychological frugality is the rejection of emotional spending on those around you. Research shows that people achieving success alone possess a much higher capacity for long-term planning because they do not need to account for the variables of others' whims. Your trajectory becomes predictable for you and absolutely sudden for your enemies. The psychology of the loner is built on the concept of anti-fragility described by Nassim Taleb. When you have no support, any blow to you only makes you stronger because you have no external props that can collapse. You are like a monolith. If a pack loses its leader, it falls apart. If a lone wolf loses something, he simply regroups and continues the path. Machiavelli urged being like a fox to see traps and a lion to terrify wolves. But in loneliness, you must also become a snake to slip through where others get stuck. Your flexibility is maximal when you are not tied by anyone's expectations. You can change direction, strategy, and even personality in 1 second without explaining the reasons. Your lack of support is your best censor. When no one helps you, you are forced to do only what truly works. You have no right to a mistake paid for by others' money, therefore. You become diabolically precise in your calculations. Machiavelli wrote that people by nature are ungrateful, fickle, hypocritical, and greedy for gain. To rely on them is the same as building a house on a swamp. A lone wolf builds on the rock of his own egoism and his own competence. This is a foundation that is not subject to the corrosion of time or betrayal. Your greatness will belong only to you and no one else. You will not have to share glory or profit with those who simply stood nearby on sunny days. Stop. Feel this ringing emptiness around you. I know there are nights when this cold becomes unbearable. When you just want to hear a voice that says you are doing everything right. When you want to bury your head in someone's shoulder and admit how damn tired you are of fighting against the whole world. I see how your hands shake from tension and how in your eyes, desperation of a deserted child sometimes flashes. You feel like an outcast, you feel cursed. But I am here to tell you the truth. This pain is your entrance ticket to the pantheon of gods. Every great man whose bust stands in history passed through this valley of the shadow of death in complete loneliness. You are afraid because you are on the right path. It hurts because the old slave part of you is dying, making room for the predator. Do not dare seek comfort. Do not dare ask for mercy. Your tears are lubricant for your mechanism of power. Inhale this cold air of sovereignty and realize that you have already won because you found the strength in yourself to go when no one followed you. You are the very person you have been waiting for all your life. The support is inside you. Your path of the lone wolf is the highest form of stoicism in Machiavellian realism. Sovereignty is not the presence of subjects, it is the absence of masters over your mind. When you achieve success with zero support, you become living proof that the will of a person is primary in relation to circumstances. Your life turns into an icy masterpiece of will. You no longer belong to the human herd, you become a new form of life, self-sufficient and self-valued. Your philosophy is the philosophy of ice and fire. Ice in calculations and fire in action. Machiavelli taught that fortune is a woman, and she must be taken by force. A lone wolf takes fortune by the throat without asking permission from witnesses. Your loneliness is your coronation. The reframing of your situation lies in the fact that the world did not abandon you. The world simply stepped aside so as not to interfere with you becoming the god of your own reality. Imagine a snow-capped mountain peak. There are no trees, there are no birds, there is nothing there but rarefied air and eternal ice. This is your goal. Everyone else stayed below in the warm valleys where they eat, sleep, and die, hugging their weaknesses. You stand on this peak alone and the whole world lies at your feet. You do not feel the cold because a reactor of your goal burns inside you. You do not need applause because the thunder of your own heart drowns out everything else. You are the law, you are the path, and you are the truth for yourself. A lone wolf does not look for a pack. He creates his own gravity around which others will begin to rotate when you decide to allow them to. But until then, you are ice and you are steel. Your sovereignty is absolute and it is not subject to appeal. If you are ready to accept this challenge and become the architect of your destiny in complete loneliness, then you are one of us. Leave a comment with the words "I am the support" if you have listened to this manifesto to the end and are ready to burn the bridges to your past weak life. We are not here to comfort you. We are here to forge your greatness. Your time has come, and in this time there is only you and your goal. Forward into the icy unknown to your triumph. Our path continues in silence and strength.